So you can see here, I got this first side sanded down. I wasn't going for a perfect kind of flat texture across everything. You can see there's still a little bit of texture. You can see on this side how just kind of chopped up and shredded everything is. So even though this is not perfect, this is way better, and this will be a perfect surface to work on for the actual wood burning. All right, now that we got this all sanded down, I'm actually going to work on putting the first design that I'd like to do onto this wood disc. I spent a long time trying to figure out what I actually wanted to do for this first piece, and I came to the conclusion that I would like to do 2 cutthroat trout first. I'm sure this probably isn't the case for you West Coast people, but for me, as an East Coast person, the cutthroat trout is kind of like the mythical trout that I've always wanted to catch. I've actually managed to catch a cutthroat trout once before in my life. Me and 2 of my friends went on a trip out to Wyoming a couple years back, and we drove by this roadside river basically. It was a super beautiful waterfall, just pretty much under a random bridge. And we pulled over, and I decided to take some casts into this deep pool that was at the bottom of the waterfall. This thing was filled with brook trout. I'm talking like I probably caught 20 to 30 brook trout in the span of 15 minutes out of this one pool. But right when we were about to leave, I made one last cast, and I managed to catch my one and only Yellowstone cutthroat trout. So in honor of that cutthroat, I'm gonna do 2 Yellowstone cutthroat trouts on this first piece of wood. I got the drawing done on this first disc. 2 cutthroat trout, pretty simple and easy drawing, honestly. It didn't really take me that long. Now that we got this, we can actually start burning. So I'll get started with that. All right, I'm at the section now where I've actually completed the first outline for the cutthroat trout on this piece of wood. The thing that's really standing out to me straight from the beginning is how hard it is to work with this circular grain structure. I've never worked on a piece of wood like this before in terms of wood burning, so that's been an interesting challenge to have to work with. But for now, this is looking exactly how I would have hoped it to look, and I'm ready to move on to the second fish. At this point, I'd say I probably have my first burn pretty much complete here for this first cutthroat trout. Again, the thing with wood burning is it's really easy to darken areas, but it's nearly impossible to make something lighter once you've already burned that section. It might not look like I've actually done that much, but this is setting the perfect foundation to build upon. I can come back in now and darken a lot of areas, and all these areas that are bright, I'm going to keep those the same brightness to maintain the highlights of this fish. So I'm going to finish out on this fish probably, and then we'll move on to the second one. All right, I've officially finished this first cutthroat trout burn. I am really, really happy with how this turned out. I didn't really have too many issues with this entire process, so that makes me really confident going into the next one. And yeah, excited to see how it turns out.